I squeezed as tightly as I could. It was the only way I could describe it. It wasn't really a squeeze, it was more like the impression of a squeeze. As I did, the world around me darkened and slowed. I picked up the rifle, being careful to account for the momentum of it being moved so quickly. Settling the weapon tight against my shoulder, I took my time sighting down the rifle towards the targets at the other end of the range. Accounting for gravity, rotation, and atmosphere, I should aim here, she thought. 3 pulls of the trigger. The rifle climbed slowly enough that I could push it back down easily. And I was finished, and returned to normal time. The paper target showed 3 holes within a few millimeters of each other. Decent. For me. Again. The drills continued on for another hour of clock time, but my perception changes meant it felt like a day. It was my turn at the range, and Colonel Matisse was difficult to please. Finally she said, "That's enough, 27. Now pack up, good work today." She was always a woman of few words, and that was about as much congratulations as Sudetch I expected. I collected my weapon, checked it back in, and walked with the colonel as we made our way back to the dorms. 27. You were slicing 200 to 1 while on the range today. You're getting quite good at utilizing Tartarus. The additional praise started me so strongly that I nearly tripped as we were walking. I managed to catch myself and looked over at Matisse. "Thank you, Colonel. But I'm sure my sisters are just as good as it as I am. Your modesty does you no good here. 27. Matisse said, smiling slightly. "You are, by far, the most proficient at Tartarus amongst your sisters." I stopped. "But we're the same," I said. "That was the whole point of the Spear Initiative. We know the same things, have the same abilities, even have the same body plan. That way no one colony can claim that their leader is better than any other." Colonel Daniela Matisse actually chuckled, something I had never heard before. "If that was the case, 27, we would have made one of you, and only after your training was complete would we have duplicated you. We made all of you and are training all of you so you can learn from each other. Grow socially, build bonds, be friends. Being different is the goal, not a side effect. Perhaps one day one of you will need to rely on the other for help with your colony. It would be more useful if they were actually friendly," I said quietly. "Are they excluding you?" Matisse asked, raising an eyebrow. Not really," I said quickly. "The last thing I wanted was everyone to get punished because of something I said offhandedly to the colonel. I just mean that a lot of my sisters are forming groups and tend to just be with those groups. Peak behavior is not unexpected." Matisse said, nodding to herself. "Do you have friends? I see you with 104 quite often." "I suppose my friends would be 104, 18, and 30. I said, thinking carefully. "Your own clique?" "Maybe," I admitted. "But the other groups don't seem to want to interact with us." It was hard to describe, and I was still worried that it would cause trouble with my sisters later on. Other than 55 and 100, none of my sisters were unfriendly as such. 55 was a bit of a bully, but she did that to other sisters as well, not just me. 100 tended to do everything that 55 said, so who knows how much of her behavior was her own, but the others just left me and my little group alone. I can speak to the entire cohort about. "No, Colonel, please don't," I pleaded. "If you do that right after we had our one-on-one, everyone will know it was me who complained. Everything is fine, really it is. These are all minor things." "All right, 27. I won't say anything," Matisse said, as her normal stoic expression returned. "But if anything changes, you tell me. How was your date with the colonel?" 27, 55 said as a gaggle of sisters around her laughed. "Don't worry about her, 27. 104 said, pushing a tray into my hands and raising her voice. 55 is just frustrated she can't slice deeper than 2 to 1. Laughter from a different part of the mess this time. I could feel more eyes on me. 104, that's enough, I said in a normal volume. I'm sure 55 is better than that. You think you're hot shit just because you're the colonel's pet. 55 stood up quickly, her chair squeaking as it slid across the floor. "We all know, your store's on aptitude and logistics, All you can do is slice and farm. Not exactly leadership material. Hey now, ease off 55, 30 said, standing up. Farming is a vital part of the colonization effort, and, fuck off, 30. I'm talking to little Miss Slice-O-Matic 27 here. 55 said, and made a rude gesture. We all know that Matisse takes you to the range for your one-on-ones because you're a terrible shit. Her voice comically slowed down as I bunched up. Going this deep this fast was taxing, especially after my time at the range, but Matisse herself said I was the best at this. I wasn't the smartest or the strongest or the best with tactics, but damn it, I had this. Taking it in steps, I went even deeper than I did at the range and felt like I was on a plateau. Holding this level was hard, but I could keep it up. It was like holding your breath. It burned, but if you were prepared it was manageable. I was going fast enough that I could see the flicker of the alternating current and the overhead lights slow to a steady beat as I took off towards 55. Then her. Even the air was heavy, like walking through the surf on a beach. The issue was momentum. Just like with the rifle, if I wasn't careful I would hit 55 or another sister hard enough to break bones and push her across the room. As much as 55 annoyed me, I didn't want to hurt her. So, I decided to just mess with her dinner. I picked up 55's empty cup, knife, and her dinner roll and hurried back to 104. I placed them on 104's tray and then relaxed. Chaos erupted when my perception of time went back to normal. Despite my efforts, the pressure wave from my motion knocked 55 and a few sisters next to her over. 104, completely startled by my action, shrieked and tossed her tray in surprise. Silverware and food were blown across the table, and that caused everyone to rush over and see what she had done. Between the arguments and commotion, nobody noticed me, pale and sweating, pass out and slowly sink to the floor. A feeling of being underwater, suffocating and dark. Confused, jumbled up thoughts floated through my mind. It felt like I was surfacing from deep within a pool of water, and my next conscious thoughts were this bed is cozy. That means I'm not in my bed. Why aren't all our beds this comfortable? I opened my eyes and saw the ceiling of the medical ward. Dr. McCain looked down at me and smiled. Welcome back, 27, he said and looked up over at someone unseen. Colonel Matisse approached, her standard expression replaced with almost a familial concern. 27, are you all right? I'm fine, I said, trying to push myself upright. An IV was stuck into my right hand, and I had sensors strapped to my brain and arms. Dr. McCain said, easy 27, not so fast. You aren't nearly as fine as you say. Your brain overheated. Overheated? From exertion, yes. During your stunt, you sliced more than 500 to 1. I had 8.5 minutes of reaction time and every second clock time that passed, far higher than anyone else had managed so far. We had been told that we wouldn't be able to slice that finely without being connected to a starship with most of our consciousness offloaded to ship systems, and I just did it. Prove it. Oh no, I said and laid back. 55 is going to be so pissed. Let me worry about 55, Matisse said. How did it feel to slice so finely? It took a lot of concentration, I admitted. I had to do it in steps, but once I was down there, holding it wasn't too hard. I didn't realize that I overheated though. I felt like I could have held it longer. If you had held it another clock time second, you would have died, Matisse said. Matisse looked over at Dr. McCain. She's going to need supplemental cooling for her brain. We don't have anything that can be small enough. You need to find something, Doctor. 27 has only begun to explore family. Has only begun to explore the limit of the far from 27 family. I had to be clever. Far from being just a few more seconds to plan and actively never that whole thing. Happening, if you don't fall from the plan, I program left hand, Hatton is cup. Head of left hand,